This segment brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
Welcome back to Ag Etc. Next, Kansas Wheat and K-State Research and Extension team up to bring you a wheat crop overview in central Kansas. Hi everyone, we're back and we're going to give a little bit of an overview of the wheat conditions in the 2019-2020 season. So I'm here with Romila and I think we'll go around the state and give just an update by region. And I think we'll start at the South Central region. So what did we see this year?
Definitely, Kelsey. So in South Central Kansas this year, they actually had a very good growing conditions pretty much throughout the season, right? They had a good establishment in the fall. They also had a good amount of moisture really throughout the season, close to normal or even above normal throughout the season. The winter was warm, which allowed the crop to tiller very well as well, even some of those late planted crops. So overall, a very good cropping season. But Kelsey, with that amount of moisture that they received, it also comes some disease issues, right?
Absolutely. So that's where we started to see some fusarium head blight. So it didn't reach really economic levels like we see in some years where there are discounts, large-scale discounts, but we did see some fusarium head blight, and that's when we first started to see stripe rust come on. So that it did come on a little later than usual, but it took off in some fields, so there was some loss due to stripe rust. Another concern that we have for this south central part of the state are some of the seed-borne diseases like common bunt and loose smut, which seem to be accumulating a little bit more than in the past. So that's going to be an area where we might start to think about seed treatments just because of the higher than usual levels that we saw. So now how about if we move to central and north central Kansas? What did we see?
Yeah, as we move to central and north central Kansas, we actually saw a very sharp transition, especially in the north central Kansas region, in which starting in the winter and spring, they were extremely dry, right? So they were actually in a water deficit as compared to the long-term normal that was actually pretty severe in the north central part of the state. In addition to that, it seemed like their winter was much colder as well, and that didn't really allow the crop to tiller as much, especially those late planted crops. So there was a huge difference between early planted crops and late planted crops in the north central part of the state. To top that off, about mid-April, we had 3 or 4 days in a row where temperatures got extremely cold and caught that crop about at that jointing stage or in between the first and second node, and that really hurt the crop in north central Kansas, much more the late planted crop than the early planted crop. Now in that part of the state, Kelsey, we were starting to find some diseases when it was late May, early June, but really we didn't see much in terms of response to fungicide. What do you think that is?
Yeah, so in this part of the state, especially in the north central region, we started to see stripe rust. The reports were late, and I think it warmed up quick enough that it just wasn't favorable for that stripe rust to take off. So we found it at trace levels, but it didn't become epidemic. So that was good news for the crop in that region. When we moved down into central Kansas, we had some pockets of rainfall that led to pretty bad septoria and tan spot infections. So those are going to be the biggest concern in regions that had high residue and high moisture. So that's what we were most concerned about there in central Kansas.